Hello everybody, and welcome to this video tutorial on learning how to search library and information science databases for your LI801 annotated bibliography assignment, and also for your topic, which should be the same one for LI810, your research class. I'm Cynthia Kane, and I am very happy to be able to join you this way. I am a librarian at the Emporia campus of Emporia State University, and I also had the great pleasure of serving as the librarian for the School of Library and Information Management. So at the end of this tutorial, I will make sure that you have my contact information if you ever want to chat with me or call me, or if you would ever want to do this type of Zoom session, we can always set this up one-on-one to do a one-on-one research consultation and help you maybe do some troubleshooting on searching our databases more effectively. So without further ado, we're ready to get started, and we're going to learn how to search our databases. For today's session, I am using the Mozilla Firefox browser, but in reality, I could actually use anything. I could use Google Chrome, I could use Internet Explorer. If you happen to be a Mac user, you can use browsers that you're comfortable with in the Mac environment as well as the others that I've mentioned. What I'm going to do first is show you a couple of ways of getting to our University Libraries and Archives homepage. One way that I can do this is to go to www.emporia.edu, which is the Emporia State University's homepage, and you may use this to get into Buzzin or Canvas. And if I scroll down, at the bottom of every page for Emporia State University, there is a link for the Libraries and Archives. And if I click on that link, that just takes me to my University Libraries and Archives homepage. Also, if you already happen to be in Canvas, you'll notice a link called Libraries and Archives, and that will also get you to this page as well. A shortcut that I also happen to like very much is just simply to type library.emporia.edu, and as you see, that took me back to the library's webpage as well. I'm actually going to leave both of these tabs open because we're going to need both of these tabs in just a second as we do our research. Well, this whole setup here basically will tell you everything about Emporia State University with the Libraries and Archives. There are a couple of areas that we're really going to focus on in this tutorial, though, again, to help you with your assignment a little bit more effectively. You'll notice that we have some different tabs here. We have Discovery Search, Databases, Journals, and Research Guides. Toward the end, I'll be coming back to Research Guides. The Discovery Search is one that you do want to use when you are looking for books or other items that are owned specifically by the Emporia Campus Library here at ESU. I don't necessarily use it, though, to find references to journal articles, although if I type in a topic with a discovery search, I actually will find quite a few citations to articles. And the reason I don't do that is at this level in graduate school, you really want to know how to identify and utilize the subject-specific electronic resources in your discipline. And this is what I'm going to teach you how to do today, targeted toward this assignment, but basically what you can use for other classes in SLIM. So to do that, we're going to go to the Databases tab. So what does this screen actually do for us? Well, we have over 300 databases that are related to a lot of different disciplines: business, economics, psychology, sciences, medicine, you name it. Basically addressing what we have in the curriculum. As you get further into your SLIM curriculum, you may find yourself using other databases that are related to more in-depth topics. A good example might be library management. If you are interested in the field of library management, administration of libraries, for example, you might want to use business-related databases that will talk a little bit more about a management perspective or industrial organizational management along those lines. What we're going to be doing, though, for this specific assignment is focusing upon library and information science. So we are going to click on Library and Information Science. And we have two databases in particular that I really want us to concentrate on in this tutorial. library literature and information science full text, and LIS, library, information science, and technology abstracts. So what's the difference between the two? Well, each one does tend to pick up a lot of the same information science journals, but there are some journals that are picked up or indexed in one database won't necessarily be indexed in the other database. So when I'm doing a pretty thorough search, I tend to use both databases, so I make sure that I'm covering my topic as well as is possible. We're going to go first to library literature and information science full text. Now you'll notice something on this screen that may look familiar if you've done this type of searching before. I am actually in my home, and I'm about 6 blocks from the Emporia State campus. However, for all intents and purposes, I'm also a distance education or remote access user. So whenever you are accessing these databases off campus, which of course the majority of you are going to be doing, you're going to enter your BuzzIn username, remembered fine because I've done this before, and your BuzzIn password. And I don't necessarily want this to be remembered at this point in time. A little hint, as long as I don't end this browsing session, I can go back and forth between databases and I will not have to re-enter my BuzzIn username and password. So now we're in Library Literature and Information Science full text. I will always choose an advanced search in a database if I have an option between a basic and an advanced one. And the reason is that the advanced search is going to let me do a lot of limits as I start to do my search that I don't have access to in the basic search. And there are some really important limits or filters that we want to put on this search. I want to scroll down here first of all, and I want to limit my search to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Well, you might think, that's what I'm going to be getting in the library literature database. Why would I have to do that type of limit? Well, not necessarily. There are a lot of professional publications or trade publications that also appear in different databases. American Libraries is a very good example of a professional publication. It is the official journal or the official periodical of the American Library Association. Excellent for updated news, breaking topics. It gives you information about conferences and so forth, but it's not a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. It basically is just tidbits of information and then articles that are not necessarily peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed means that basically a body of peers or an editor or a group of editors or reviewers are looking at the pre-publication of an article. It's usually called a blind review. There's no identifying information about the authors or their institutional affiliations. The reviewers take a look at the article, they suggest any changes or updates, send that back to the author or authors for any revisions that are needed, and sometimes that can happen several times before the article is accepted for publication. So it's kind of a check and balance process. We are looking for scholarly peer-reviewed journals, especially for this assignment. So we've done our limit up here. If I wanted to, I could also say publication type of academic journal, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. Notice though that I'm not limiting my results to full text. Well, there's a reason for that. I may not find the full text of an article in this specific database, but it may be available elsewhere. And certainly at this point, I don't want to rule out any potential useful pieces of information. Now we'll go back up here. You notice that I am saying that I want to do a search in the abstract of an article. The reason is that I'm doing something called a keyword search right now. I'm actually going to be working with the topic of public libraries and assessment. And if I don't limit my search just to within the abstract of the article for the keywords, I might be searching for public libraries somewhere in the full text of an article and the word assessment somewhere else in the full text, but they may not actually have anything to do with one another or with my specific information need. So we're going to do public libraries up here. In the second field, or second line, I'm going to type assessment. You notice that it is kind of giving me some suggested ways of searching too. I'm using the word and here because in this database, the word and signifies that I want something and something else in my search for information. If I'm searching in a search engine such as Google, the word and tends to be implied and I don't necessarily have to put it in there. But in a database, it's really better, I think, anyway, to specify that you want something and something. You want to add another word, you can do something and something else in your search for information. So let's go ahead and we'll click on search. And I have 35. That's actually not too bad. You see that I'm getting some things from other countries because this is indeed an international database. As I scroll down here, you'll notice that in a variety of instances, I either have the PDF full text, or in this case, number 7, this is going to link to the full text of the article from another database to which we subscribe, so I can get access to it that way as well. Here's another one that has the PDF full text. About that is, if the PDF full text is there, you can click on it. There it is on the screen. You can download it onto your computer, read it, print it out if you have access to a printer, if you want to do that, or just continue to save it, maybe even to a flash drive. Back to our result list, though. At this point, there are a couple of things I want to show you. So like I said, 35 really isn't a bad result. And you see that all 35 were from academic journals because we did limit that search. But I'm going to scroll back up here. And you will notice that some of these actually do not have the full text available. Let's look at record number 6, for example. Researching the economic contribution of public libraries. I'm going to click on that one because I am a huge believer in reading the abstracts of different articles, because the abstract can tell me in a nutshell, again, if that's something that I want or maybe something that doesn't necessarily relate to my information need. And you see there's public libraries and there's assessment highlighted in the abstract. That sounds interesting, but I don't have the full text available. Well, here's where I want to show you a little trick. Remember I said that this might be available in another resource or in another database. What we're going to do now is take and highlight title of the journal. Notice I did not highlight the title of the article. In the library literature database, that will be under a field called source. So I'm looking for evidence-based library and information practice. And I really want to know if I can find the full text of this particular article somewhere else. You notice that I had referred earlier to keeping 2 tabs open. I always do this because I don't want to lose my search on this first tab. But now I want to go to journals. And I'm now going to paste the name of that journal. Again, we're searching at the journal level right now, not the article level. We'll click on search. Well, it looks like I have 2 possibilities maybe for the e-journal or the full text of this journal. Well, that's all very well and good. It looks like this coverage goes from the year 2007 to 2015. However, looks like the article that I'm looking for is from 2014. So even when you do this search in the Journals tab on our webpage, please check the years very carefully. However, I have another choice here. It looks like this might be available maybe through another means. This is actually a very interesting one because this is considered to be an open access journal. This is something you might be familiar with, or you'll be hearing about this later on. This is a freely accessible journal, so we're not having to pay a subscription price for it. It is considered to be scholarly or peer-reviewed. Many open access journals are these days. So this is from something called the Collection. It's the Directory of Open Access Journals, and it looks like it goes from 2006 to the present. So let's click on the journal. And this to a university. It's at the University of Alberta. Actually hosting this, the University of Alberta Libraries. This took me to the 2015 issue of this journal. So probably in this case, I'm going to have to click on Archives and go back over here. And it looks like I need Volume 9, Issue 4 from 2014. There we are. And as I scroll down, we're going to keep going here. Searching the economic contribution of public libraries. There it is, and there's the PDF. So I can click on that. And as we saw with the other PDFs, I can just go ahead and read that. So again, do not rule out citations to the database that are not necessarily full text, because you might be able to find the full text elsewhere, again, using that Journals tab. I'm going to go back here again to the library's homepage, and the Journals tab is where I'm going to be using to see if the full text of journals happens to be available. Now, a little tip here. There's a very good possibility that you might find that a journal is available for what you need, but that article is available only in print in the Emporia Campus Library. We can scan that article in print. We can scan it electronically in PDF and send it to you. The way that we would do that is we would have you go over here under I Want To, and you would click on Request an Interlibrary Loan. And when you do that, you would basically just fill out the form for that article, indicate that it is available in print in our library, and that you are a distance education student, and then we'll just scan that and send that to you electronically. So let's go back over here to this search. While you are doing a search in this database, if you're finding more than one article that looks really interesting or more than one citation, you can keep adding those to a folder over here, and you don't even have to be signed in for anything like that. Then when you get ready to look at all of your articles at once, you can click on this folder option up here. I only added one so far, but as you can see, then you could print out everything from this folder, or you could email it, or you could save it to your computer or save it to a flash drive. So that's kind of a nice time-saving feature. We're going to go back here. The other thing I wanted to show you is that most databases anymore will have something called a Cite or Citation Tools feature. In this particular instance, this one is called Cite. I'll show this to you, but I'm going to give you a caution on it. And this is a very good example of this caution. I'm going to cover this a little bit more in the tutorial that I do for APA and for a source called Zotero. But if you look over here, this has converted this particular citation to the APA or American Psychological format, which is what we use in the School of Library and Information Management. It's what you'll be using for your annotated bibliography. However, you can copy and paste this, but you have got to proofread this citation because in many instances, it's not going to be necessarily accurate. And this is a very good example of it. Take a look at the title, Researching the Economic Contribution of Public Libraries. In APA style, these words, economic contribution, public libraries, are actually in lowercase. You do lowercase for the titles of articles, but you see that these actually are capitalized. The reason is that, when we go back over here, this is actually called the metadata of a record. This is going to sound a lot more familiar after a while. In the metadata, these words were originally capitalized. And because of that, they just came over exactly as they appeared in the metadata of a record. So, to sum that one up, you can use the cite feature or the citation tools in a database, get most of what you need, but you've got to make sure that you proofread this with appropriate APA-style guidelines. Otherwise, it is going to be in error. So, kind of take that with a grain of salt. Let's go back over here. I'm just holding down my mouse button at this point. And I'm going to scroll back to my A to Z list of databases. Back to Library and Information Science. When I go into LISTA, you'll notice that this one looks very much the same because it's using the EBSCOhost service as the vendor. I can do the same thing here. I can say I want to search in the abstract of an article. Again, limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Limit my publication type to academic journal. Now let's do again public libraries and assessment. This is a very interesting difference because you notice that I had far more retrievals in this database, 148 as opposed to 35 that I had in the library literature database. Do you see now why? Definitely use both databases because you may find something in one that you won't find in the other. And as we've seen before, you may have the PDF full text, or as we see in this first one here, you can copy the title, the journal, take that back to the Journals tab, and then see if we own that in our library or not. Let's go back over here. And I promised that I would leave you with my contact information and also just a little bit more of a reinforcement of everything that we've covered. Go to our tab for research guides. And if we type in library, scroll down here, I have a research guide that I have written called Library and Information Management Resources. And that's also available at emporia.beta.libguides.com/slim. I'll leave that up there so you saw that. Basically, just about everything we covered today is reinforced in this specific research guide. So you can go back to periodicals, electronic resources, off-campus access, and so forth. Library loan, we touched on that for document delivery of print articles that we might own in our library, but we can also use that for articles that are not owned in our library because you have access to that as well. And again, the way you would do that is to go back to the library's webpage and go to Request an Interlibrary Loan. Log in again with your Buzz-in username and password. If you've never done a library loan before through our specific library, you're going to get a screen before this one that will ask you to enter your personal information, such as your mailing address and so forth. Please use your g.emporia.edu address because that is the official Emporia State University address, and that's what we use to communicate with you about any requests like interlibrary loan or document delivery. But after you do that, you don't ever have to do that again. And if you wanted to do a new request for an article, you could click here. And this is where you would put in information both about a print article that you would want to have scanned and sent to you from our library, also for articles that we do not own physically or electronically. So that's what you would want to do for interlibrary loan. And going back here, this tab, email me here if you wish. Email address is ckane1@emporia.edu. And as I said, I am available for any help that you need. I really hope that this tutorial has been useful for you. We have another one that will deal a little bit more specifically with APA style and with a software management program called Zotero that will help you manage your research a lot more effectively. Good luck, and I know you're going to do really well with this assignment.